Welcome back, everybody. We are here for another one. Today's just going to be short. Well, it might be long. It really just depends on how long-winded mom is today. But yeah, welcome back. Millie's alive. She had a crazy experience the other day. We're not going to get too much into it or my mom will cry. So we're gonna stay
Thank
strong.
Nampa Fire Department and the Star Paramedics. Star
Yeah,
Idaho Nampa Fire Department and Star Idaho Paramedics.
yeah. So pretty crazy experience, but we truck along, we move along. So, all right, Mom, you want to talk about a stroller? I didn't really understand, but I guess there's some stroller that's super fancy or something.
No, Millie's Walker.
Oh, the walker. Okay,
So,
what about her walkers?
okay, and I'm gonna send you photos of the two of them in, so I don't know if you can put them in post. I can do this.
Okay,
Okay, so this is the one. This is one's pink, so you know which one to put in. Is the one that we got from the medical equipment company. And we had this walker, and Millie would take a couple of steps and then she would just sit in it. And I was so like disheartened, and I thought, she's never going to do this. Like, this walker thing isn't going to be for her. And Millie was it last? It was last Christmas. So last Christmas, so Millie was 3 and she had just turned 3. And we hadn't ever hung out with anybody. Um, we'd never gone to any special needs kids, anything. And basically, from the time she was 1 to 3, we pretty much just stayed to ourselves. I didn't really join any Facebook groups. Um, I was mostly just, I had talked to the one lady. I think I've told that story before. So I talked to the one lady, and that didn't really go well. So I kind of kept to myself. And um, my Millie's speech therapist came over, and I was just really disheartened. Something, I think that thing had happened with the other lady, and she'd made me feel really bad. And I was just feeling really disheartened. And the speech therapist said, "You need to join this community. It's in the area. It's called Raise for Rare." And she just said, just sign up. So I signed up, and it was really cool. It's a woman who lost her son to um, a rare form of, I can't remember. So a rare disease. And she does like parties, but they do them like where you have to go out and be involved in the community. So I signed up for this thing, and I was never going to go to any of the things. And then she said that Millie's speech therapist said, I have a friend that I would love to connect you with. And I've asked her if it was okay if I told you that her daughter is a lot like yours and that I see her for speech therapy. And I think you would really enjoy having a friend. Millie would enjoy having a friend. Their kids are about the same age. And um, I was so nervous. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I had never done anything with any special needs parents. Um, and so I texted with this girl, and she said, she does all sorts of things. Like, this girl is amazing. Maybe we'll get her on. I'm going to try to get her on the podcast. She's on my list. I have a few on my list that I'm trying to get on. Um, and she called me and she said, let's meet at the Children's Museum. Well, I had never taken Millie to anything like that. Sometimes I would take her to the park, but just go on walks in her stroller. And I have like the case over her stroller and everything. Um, and so she said, let's meet at the Children's Museum. Um, and so I was really scared about the whole thing because I had just never done it before. So I got her. Millie had, at that time, she had her walker, but she didn't use it. And then she had a special needs stroller, wheelchair stroller, but it's a stroller. And so we took that because that's what we took to places. And we got there to the science. It's like the Children's Science Center. Anyway, whatever. It's really cool. We got there, And this is totally the kind of thing I would have done with all of my other kids. But with Millie, I was always so nervous about her touching anything and getting sick. And um, for the first 3 years, I was pretty, and then we had moved. And so I didn't know where things were, but um, we were pretty reclusive for a long time. Um, and so we got there, and as I was pulling in, I saw the lady, and I had never met her before, but I knew it was her because she was getting this stander or this walker out of her car, and I literally started bawling because it was like a lady that was going to talk to me, and she had like texted me before, and she was going through the same thing as me. And I didn't even know until then that I really needed it. Like I had kind of felt like I wanted some support, or I wanted to know somebody. Um, and I don't have a really big circle of friends anyway. I have like few really close ones, and then I haven't ever had like big circles of friends, and so it was a little harder for me to make friends. And in this situation, it's really difficult because I was shot down by that first special needs mom. Um, and so I just started bawling, and I was so like happy to see her, but I was so nervous. And I don't even know why. I was just crying by the time I got out because I couldn't believe there was somebody like that was going to talk to me, and we had the same thing, like the same kind of thing happening. And so we got out, Millie got in her stroller, and this little girl got in her walker. And Kate, as far as functioning, her little girl is a little bit um, less in some ways and more in others. Like all kids, right? We all have different abilities. And her little girl is a little bit stiffer in the legs. Like Millie's a little more, um, she's low tone, is what we call it, but she's a little more jelly, right? She's been watching Elemental, so all I can see is she's like the water. She's like moving through things. Um, And so uh, this little girl got in her walker, and she's a little stiff, but she was like doing it. And the walker had a handle. And so the mom could like get her going, but then the little girl was like doing it. And the little girl didn't have as much control over her hands. So I'm watching this. Well, first of all, it was an amazing play date. We've had like one or two since in the last year, but which everyone with special needs kids will understand why, just because that's the way life is. But I really, really like her, and it was just amazing. But the whole time, so this thing happened to me, and this never happened to me. Like, not really, maybe never. I'm not like a super jealous person. I don't really look around and try to. I was so jealous of this walker. Like literally, I even thought like I wonder if I could borrow it, or like, and it's crazy. Like, and I mean, I obviously didn't say that, but like you start having these thoughts like I gotta get one of those. I have to get this walker because I know Millie could do it. And I so wanted to try it out. I'm like, oh, but then I couldn't ask. Like, I'm like, that's wrong. You can't ask somebody like, get your kid out and put my kid in. I heard like walker, right? And I was just like, oh, I was so jealous of this walker because as I was watching, I'm like, I know Millie can do this. I'm watching her, and I see her. And, oh, the other cute thing about this girl was that they had the same AFOs. So their leg braces, like I guess you'd call them leg braces, but AFOs. They were the same pattern. We had the exact same thing. So I was like, oh, they're little twinners. And I think they're like really, really similar in age. They were similar in height. And so it was an amazing meeting. I'm really glad I did it. I don't get out much. It's not one of my things to go out and do things like this. But I feel like, you know, there's a lot of inspiration that takes to get to one thing. And I think that the speech therapist was inspired to tell me to meet with this woman. And I know that like me pushing myself to go do this thing that was really hard for me. Um, and I think that well, I'm going to talk about that in the next part of the story. But so we had a great time. Other than that, I was jealous the whole entire time of the walker because I was like, she was able to like, get down and interact. They had like a play kitchen. So a lot of Millie's stuff actually comes from this lady. Like a lot of the things that Millie now uses regularly come from my meeting with this lady. And so I left there and I left that meeting and oh, Millie pulled her button out. And the other mom was like so crazy. She's like, "Why are you just okay about it?" And I'm like, "Oh, she just does it all the time." And I think that you totally underestimate like the things that your kids do that get normal to you, which is funny because her daughter has a G-tube but had never pulled it out. Um, and uh, so we got in the car and I started like bawling because I just wanted to figure out how to get Millie this walker. But I knew that our insurance wouldn't cover it because we just got a walker, right? Like we had just gotten one through insurance. Probably not even that. I don't think it was even like 3 or 4 months. And I think the walkers are supposed to last for like 5 years when you get them. So, so I did something that I also never do. It was like my week of doing things I never do. It was actually a whole month because the story goes on. So I do something I never do. Not very assertive as far as like calling companies when I think that it's just already lost. Like I already knew that she couldn't get one. And but I just was like, I had this deep internal, she has to have that. So I called the company here that we get our supplies from, our like durable medical, I think is what they call them. But anyway, so I called them and I said, what do I have to do? How much do I have to pay? I will buy it. Like whether I have to, I don't know. I don't know if it's the price of a car. I don't know, but tell me what I have to do and how much money I have to have in order to get this thing. I have to have this thing. And the lady was like, well, tell me about why you think she needs it. And of course, I just started going, we have this thing. It doesn't work. Can you take it back? I've been watching her all this time and I know she'll be able to use this. And she's like, I think we can maybe convince your insurance to pay for it. But you have to show me that she needs it. And the lady was so nice with me because I was a mess. I was just feeling like, whatever. If I have to, I don't know, sell a kidney, I was gonna do it, whatever it was. That we were gonna get this walker because it was like watching Millie be strapped down with no motion to I could see it in my mind that if she got in this, she would be able to move. And I would do anything to provide her um, with that ability, the ability to walk around. She's 3 years old and she's never been able to move herself from where she wanted, like from one place to another, other than rolling a little bit, which you know that's not the same thing. Like this was standing upright and moving, and so it was I was gonna make it happen, and so um, she said if you can ask your friend if she will let you take Millie over and get a video of Millie walking in it. Um, and then get a video of Millie not being able to walk in the one that we've provided. Then we will send them in to the insurance company and say, this is a necessity for mobility. We have a 3-year-old girl who can walk in one and can't walk in the other. And so I was like, okay. And then I got off the phone. I was like so disheartened, right? Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm never going to ask that lady. Like, it's going to be one of the hardest things I do. And then I'm like, I'm going to ask her because like, I'm going to have to tear down all of my insecurities and my like uncomfortableness with asking people for help or anything because I have to, like, Millie has to have this thing. And I was set on it. Like, I remember going to bed at night. It was all I could think about was getting Millie into one of those walkers. Okay, so this is where like the next miracle comes in. So why I told about the race for rare is this lady was also a part of the race for rare, and they had a Christmas party, and I got my acceptance. Like you have to apply, they have to, your kid has to meet the standards and all of the things. And so my application process went through the week of the Christmas party. And it was a really big Christmas party for all these kids. And I did not want to go because I don't know. I don't know why, because I'm just not that social in that way. And I was really uncomfortable. And so this girl who I had met a couple weeks before said, "We're going, why don't you meet us there?" And when we got there, um, I had a hard time. I have a hard time seeing kiddos struggling. I think that is one of the things that's hard for me. I really struggled in the NICU. I'm sure most moms who are in the NICU feel the same. Um, and I had a personal struggle with seeing kids that are a little more advanced into whatever situation they're in, and kind of I really like to stay in the moment with Millie's care and her outlook and not think too much about what the next step looks like and just take it as we go. And I think when I'm around a lot of kiddos, my mind starts to kind of wander about what's next. And I don't think that that's healthy for me, um, as far as wandering into that. So I really didn't want to go. And my he's not super social either. And so he was kind of like wishy washy, but then he got like, let's go. And then the friend had said, let's go. So anyway, we ended up going. We packed up all the kids and we went, and it was freezing. And we got there, and we met a few other moms who were really sweet, and they were very nice to us. And one mom actually had the walker and it was working for her daughter. And I was like, oh, look, it does work for some kids, the walker that we had. And then, so we were talking to my friend, and her daughter was in her walker. And then her daughter was crying and wanted to get out. And she was holding her daughter for a while. And I said to her, would you mind if I just put Millie in for a minute and got a video of her in it so that we can try to get one? And I know that sounds like nothing, but for me, that took a lot of courage to ask her. Um, I have a hard time asking for help. Um, anyway, so it took a lot of courage for me to do that. And I did it. We put Millie in, and I still have the video. Maybe we'll be able to show it on here. Can we do that, Jackson?
Yeah, if you just send it to me.
Okay. We put Millie in the walker, and I knew it. It was exactly like I knew. She went walking. And I don't mean like she took a couple of steps, like she walked around the whole place. And I had never, I mean, like, this is a miracle, right? Like, you're watching it just happen, and I knew when I saw the walker that it would be like this, but seeing it is something different. And it was like one of the most special moments, because she was just like, it was so cool to see her. Millie doesn't have facial expressions, and so it's really hard to read her sometimes. Um, but you could just see like the relief of being able to like move herself. And she was like turning, no one taught her anything. She would grab the wheel and she turned the wheel to get over here. I mean, like, she was walking around, she was like touching people's purses. And I mean, it was crazy. She was like totally interacting with the world around her in a way she had never done before. And I got it all on video. I think I have two videos of it because she just kept doing it. So I had like keep following her with the video. And so, okay, that's the second miracle, right? We're on two. Here's the third one. So this mom of this 16-year-old boy who's um he was in his chair, and this mom comes over, she's talking to us, and because we're all excited for Millie and we're all clapping, and she's like, what's going on? And we're like, I'm really trying to get my medical equipment company to authorize one of these walkers for us because I know because my daughter can walk in it. And she said, well, I have one of those that exact same size in my garage that's almost never been used. Do you want it? And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I had gone from having really bad experience with moms. And literally 2 days later, Millie was walking around our house with the walker, and I think her son hadn't been able to use it very much. And it was like brand new. I went to her house and she had it just sitting out there with her. I said, I cleaned it, I got it already. And I feel like this is like one of these moments that you realize that other people watching out for you can really change the course of your life. And in particular, the course of my child's life. Millie is able to, she tears around the house and that thing. She does all the things that 4-year-olds are supposed to do. Maybe two, maybe she's more closer to a 2-year-old, but she tears up the pantry and she pulls the ornaments off the tree. And it's all because one speech therapist thought I needed a friend, and one friend invited me somewhere. Decided that I was, should be part of their group and I should be able to go to a Christmas party. And I got over my fear of being in places that made me uncomfortable. And I went to a Christmas party, and one sweet mom was willing to give me something. And I just think that that's like exactly, I want that to happen in everybody's lives. I can't believe it happened in mine. I know that God is the author of it. I know that He was speaking to every single one of those people. Um, and I remember like this really cool moment where she started doing her OT in her walker. And she was sitting with her occupational therapist and she was doing the stuff. And then she set it down and walked away. And her therapist looked at me and said, I have always wanted her to be able to walk away. All the other kids can walk away. And I wanted her to be able to decide when she's done with something. Not that we won't coax her back and try to get her involved, but that she has the autonomy to walk away when she wants to walk away. And so all of those things, and Millie to this day uses that walker that was donated to us. Eventually, actually, I had sent the stuff already in when we were taking the videos. I had sent the videos in, and so eventually our company gave us another one. So we have one that goes on the back of the car, and we're trying to keep them in really good shape so when she outgrows them that they can get to other kids who need them. But I think that the reason I wanted to tell this story is I just feel like um, if anyone out there is like me and has a really hard time putting themselves out there or asking people or joining groups, um, you know, it's worth it. It's I keep thinking, had I been the mom on the other side, I would have been so happy to give something to somebody who is so desperate for it. And that's what I want to be, is the mom on the other side. But, you got to be both. You have to experience both sides. You have to be the mom on the side that needs something too and is willing to ask and is willing to tell people that you need help. And I think for a lot of us, it's probably something that's really real with special needs moms is we're super high achievers and high functioning moms who are sure we can do it all on our own. And we probably can do most of it. But there's like a portion of things that we need to ask. Um, because, had I just fought with the medical equipment company and they gave it to me, that's a fine story too. But there's something miraculous about the thing that I desperately needed being provided to me in the moment, literally in the moment that I needed it. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that mom, and I'll never forget that experience. So
Well,
that,
that was a pretty cool experience. I think it's a pretty good story on the asking side and on the giving side. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we got for today. But do you have anything you'd like to finish off with? Any maybe like a funny joke or something? Lighten the mood a little bit? No? My
I
jokes
don't.
are not appropriate, so I don't think I should
My
joke.
jokes are, but I only know my husband's jokes, and those are definitely not appropriate. Oh, look, we got all the kids home from school. Perfect timing. They should
All
all come.
righty. Well, we'll sign off. Adios, everybody. You want to say bye, Mom? It looks like Parley's waving goodbye as well.
Yeah, we've got Parley, we've got Poe, we've got all the kids running in. Millie's ready. She's done with her toy room, so I think it's perfect timing. But I just wanted to say, if you are wanting to be on the podcast and you are nervous about it, I promise you that you sharing your story will help other people. I know that for a fact. And so I know there's a few people who've kind of said, I really want to do it, but I'm nervous. Um, I would just encourage you to do it. Your
Yeah.
story can help people in ways that you probably will never know. I don't know that all of those moms have any idea how impactful that I will keep that story with me for my whole life. And so, you know, I think that's what this is all about is being there for each other in a way that we know we maybe never know how important we are. So anyway, you're important, your story is important, and you can change lives in that way.
Mhm. Amen.
All right.
All righty. Well, see you guys.
Bye.